It is Cinnamon Coney, your Art Sherpa, and today's a very exciting day because I'm going to show you step by step how to paint this gorgeous painting of, it could be a bride. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He helps me bring these amazing paintings to you. Maybe she's a bride, maybe she's a woman in a dressing gown. Really, it's whatever she is to you. But when I painted her, she was a bride. And it was that sort of idea of that moment before the wedding. I really thought it was fun. It kind of went with the abstract couple. She's done in the abstract style. I'm going to explain every technique, every color mix, every tool, everything I do in detail through this whole video. You saw the materials at the beginning. They're also in the description. They're also on the Facebook event, and they're also on the web page, and then they'll be in the mini book as well 7 to 10 days from now. In the description also after the video, we will make a kind of chapter bookmark time-stamped to each chapter that matches the mini book. That way you can find your space again. This is done on a 16 by 20 today, guys. So if you don't want to paint big at the easel, you would just size down to an 8 by 10, which makes it really easy for the printable, for the traceable. You don't even have to tile that or anything. So if you want to do it on table, do it 8 by 10. If you want to paint it at an easel, it's a 16 by 20. Some other things to know about this lesson, to make it as concise as possible, to make sure that while the lesson is fun and entertaining and everything you love, that it's also like really focused on the techniques and you guys have everything you need to succeed, including me drawing her in. Parts of these are pre-recorded and then we go live and answer questions. So if you're here during the live show and you want your question answered, either on Facebook or YouTube, put that in all caps. Right? So we're going to put those in all caps. Let me also get here because I want to say hi to some people that have come in today.
Look, Jay's
here. Jay Moore?
Yeah.
Hey, Jay is here. Ambient Landscapes. Amy. All right. Let me catch down. I got to catch up with the chat. Sometimes I have things abstract. Jay Moore's in chat. I think that's so great. I have to like catch up sometimes. So if you're on Facebook, hi. We're going to make sure we say hi to you more. If you're on YouTube, hi. We always say hi to you. The mods have wrenches. We also have mods on Facebook. They'll make sure that you get links and everything. Oh, I see Mima. I love that right now. I'm watching Young Sheldon, so I'm for Mimas and Elba and Heather C and Karen and Marilyn. I just see Jackie. I see everybody. So put those questions all in caps. You're not yelling at us. The moderators will get you links. At the 1 hour mark, I will answer our grip, and at the end of the show, I will come back and answer grip. Do you guys know what the deal is?
I think so.
Do you think they know what the deal is?
I think they know.
Let's hope. This is one of the previous video we worked hard on. If you like that, we worked even harder on this video. So much work was put into this video. So what I hope is that it's the best art lesson you've ever come to. And the goal is that you're very successful in your painting. If you have any questions, please ask them. If you're here on the replay, put the questions in the comments and I will answer them. I check my YouTube channel every day to answer questions. I check Facebook and group every day. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. And yours is going to be pretty too. Let's jump on into this. Let's start with step 1.
All right.
So John, to begin this project, you guys at home, we're going to paint this whole canvas a light blue. I'm going to show you how to mix this color. I'm also going to pull down a screen to protect my paintings. And this is something for you to think at home. This is fun and it's easy, but it's also kind of splattery sometimes because it's the most vigorous of what we do. So just be mentally prepared for a little bit of mess. Let's pull this down.
All right.
Okay. Splatter guards are
all the way down.
All the way down.
What you got over?
Now I've got phthalo blue and titanium white right here. Phthalo blue and titanium white. I'm going to take a smidge of phthalo blue and I'm going to mix it into the titanium white. And I just want a very light color. And I need a good amount of it because I'm covering the whole canvas and I'm going to be using a big brush. And it is going to be fairly thoroughly mixed, but not perfectly. You know what I mean?
I do.
My palette knife in a little bit of water. Sometimes you can dip your palette knife in a little bit of water if you want to kind of improve the flow and mixability of the paint. I don't think I talk about that enough. Right, I can even kind of take it off and put it on the canvas here. No. You don't have to do this. I'm just cleaning off my palette knife. All right, I'm going to take a big brush. This is a big 2-inch cutting brush. It has some bristles in it.
Yep.
All right. So, pretty large kind of brush. Looks a little bit like what you'd have paint a house with. I'm going to load up. I flip it over, flip it over, flip it over. See? This is why it's splattery.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to do the palette knife thing where I smear it all over the canvas. I was just being, I don't know, silly.
Yep.
But sometimes you got to be silly. Now, this doesn't have to be a perfect coat of paint, and that's because there's so many layers coming on.
Mm-hmm.
But we do want the entire canvas kind of toned with this light blue.
Yeah.
If you're not framing, which is a perfectly valid choice, but if you're not framing,
Mm-hmm.
you're really, really going to want to paint the edges with this blue.
Ah.
I'm just waiting to see if the fresh flowers get splattered. But listen, even as we have this, even as you go, like if you're painting the full 16 by 20 and you don't have a big brush, the difference for you over what I'm experiencing is it'll take it a little longer. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole joy of a big brush is that it just takes a minute to do it and then you're done. All right. Before we go on to anything else, especially for the sketching part, I definitely want you to dry your surface completely. I'm going to be showing you how to draw in the basic girl and architectural lines that you're going to need to have. I am going to break it down step by step. It's simpler than you might think. If you are feeling a little bit of anxiety and you don't like drawing, and that's okay, John, sometimes people don't like drawing, go ahead and do the traceable, and you just might want to downsize the painting to like an 8 by 10 so it's easy to use from your printer. Or you can use the tile feature to make yourself a bigger traceable. And some people go to like printing places and do it bigger. But I think just use the tile feature. Just for convenience. I don't know. I don't want to give you life advice. I'm not trying to give you like how to print out your traceable advice. I just want you to enjoy yourself. So let's come back with our surfaces dry and I'll show you how to put this on. So I am going to show you how to sketch this figure in and how to lay in the basic elements of the painting. But again, I totally understand, and John understands, we get it, that sometimes drawing causes anxiety. Mm-hmm. So this is totally fine to use the traceable here, and this is the step that you would use that on with your surface totally dry. Follow our easy instructions on how to use those. Hey, John, let's draw.
All right.
Okay. So here's my 16 by 20, and I've got to lay out my figure, and I've got a cat's tongue from the Art Sherpa line and a round. You could just use only a round if you didn't have these brushes. I don't want you guys to be particularly anxious about it.
Okay.
One of the things that you may want to do is chalk in your designs. I'm using my round here. This is ultramarine blue, as the step will have told you. So I've got to kind of get a general sense of how much space my figure is taking up. Like the top of her hair, I expect to be a fairly wide hand's width over, and she's almost centered. Mm-hmm. Right, so I'm going to just give myself a little guidance dot. I'm painting over everything, so I don't have to worry about any of it too much. I'm going to make a little sweet face that I can kind of abstractly sketch in. It's a little downward V, and it comes up. Let's give us an ear. Now, sometimes I do a little eye, like little eye and cheek, but I'm not going to do it that strong this time because she's got very long, elegant lines. And I'm going to bring a neck off the back, kind of like swooping back. We're about the middle of the canvas in depth now. So hopefully I'm not repainting this. I really hope not. It's abstract, so it's kind of okay. Very long neck here. I like to pull a shoulder forward that's very noticeable so that these lines are counterbalanced.
Yep.
You know, I find that to be kind of lovely. And let's flare out maybe a little skirt here. Now, I do want to have the feet not go too much past, like I'm going to give myself a 3-finger guide to have room to place a foot.
Okay.
right? Even though this is stylized, I still have to think about the elbow would bend where the waist is and those kinds of things. Now, sometimes on a high uh, little sleeve like this, you wouldn't necessarily know where the waist is, so it would give you a moment.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to come forward. Let's give her an arm. And I don't want to be too short with that.
Right.
So I'm going to. Don't go right. I got to think, John.
Okay.
I'm going to go like this. Sometimes I'll erase. If you're doing chalk, that just makes that easier to do. Right? When you've got chalk, sometimes it can be easier to erase an idea. Bring the length out here. And I want the arm to be a little wider at the elbow. And even though I'm going to be bringing the sleeve down a bit, see how that just changed the length of my sleeve? That's okay. All right. I like to make a paddle when I do hands. It's literally a paddle shape. But again, because this is so very abstract, we don't have to be perfect here. And I'll be able to put little fingers off there fairly easily. It won't be that hard. I know my bouquet is, I'm going to loosely sketch this, is going to take up a nice little space here. Kind of in the center. Might get a little bigger than that. But that lets me know where I want to put, I have a foot that's going to be coming up, and I need to have her sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
You can see I'm just kind of pulling the little fabric out here for the folds. Okay. If the arm is here, I'm going to want to come down a little bit to talk about her nice long legs. I'm going to bring a nice long forward of the leg. Give myself a knee. And again, we're exaggerating all this. Pull the calf out. Pull the thigh out. And that just lets us kind of exaggerate those spaces. You're so quiet, John.
I'm just
I
watching.
hear the thing switching, but I don't hear you.
I guess what it is that I'm just, it takes a lot of focus to make sure that I'm keeping everything in frame all the time.
Me too.
All
right. On the feet, the thing to remember is I like to kind of bow a little bit. You got to give room for the toes. Just bring a little heel out and kind of come in. And again, and the important thing is this is abstract, right? You're not doing figure painting from life. So there's a lot of forgiveness in your painting, and I don't want you to pull yourself into a state of anxiety when you're doing it.
That makes sense.
You get kind of the dress is sort of also on the chair. It sort of drapes over that, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring that back here. And then this part of the dress really goes back off the canvas. Let me get a little more paint on here. I don't paint too heavy, even though I know I'm going to be doing kind of lining on her.
Yeah.
And that's really because I'm going to define those lining areas later. You guys keeping up with me and feeling good? Now remember, you can ask any question. If I don't catch it during the show, we'll catch it like right after. So don't feel like you can't get it and that we won't have help for you, because we will.
Right.
All right. So that's how I'm sort of getting the dress going off. The foot is there. Get the nice knee here. Now I know I've got another leg coming up here, and it would have to be, if you imagine a fulcrum, right? We would bring that up here. And believe it or not, it's a forward leg. I'm going to sketch the foot, which has the heel coming off, and the foot will want to be about the same size as that. Again, a little challenging to do a figure.
I think that part of the reason I've been so quiet during this part is I know it requires a fair bit of concentration.
Yeah, it does. For me, even. I got to stop. I have to think a minute. And that's okay.
So this is the wrong time
To be the chattiest John you can be.
to be the chattiest. Yeah.
All right. I just like to make sure that these two legs are relational to each other. All right. And come up here. And again, the bouquet is going to cover a lot of this, so I've just got to get a general sense of it.
Right.
And I'm going to want to pull, for modesty's sake, some of the fabric, kind of like fold it a little bit over the leg. Not too modest, but just a little bit for modesty's sake, maybe. Because that's quite a thigh. We'll see how we get there. Maybe we'll be super racy. It's hard to say. Right? Because maybe it's a dressing gown before, you know. Now, coming off here, I definitely want the hair to flow down to the leg. A little bit of sketch. You can see I'm just sketching it coming off. And then we're going to pull this down a bit. And the reason I'm putting in this light sketching of this in the blue, and I don't want to get too big, I don't want to be too much, is so that when I pull down leaves or I put in other objects, I kind of know where the hair is and I don't do the best leaves of my life behind her head. Because that could happen to me and I would not be happy with that experience. Another thing that I want to do is I want to put some ground.
What's a ground?
Ground is the stuff she's sitting on.
Oh, right.
So to do that, I'm going to come across here just a few inches up, right? And I'm going to just make sure that I've got a little bit of a line going crossing. This is grass. Abstractly, this happened.
There's a ground there.
There's a ground here. And a little bit below that, I want to kind of make a little half circle. And come up above the knee a little bit, make another little above it half circle. I'm sure I'll be adjusting this as I go. This little shape here is kind of a vase. And I just want one side of the vase to be mostly like the other side of the vase. I can even kind of pull it towards her leg. Make a nice fat vase. And again, you sketch with chalk, I sketch with paint. Because I'm pretty good at changing my mind or correcting mistakes or adjusting within the experience. And I'm going to have to step back from this a little bit. Sometimes you have to step back from your paintings to really see them. And it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. I just know where it is. Right? I don't need to do all the pampas grass and all the little decorative elements. Right? I've just got to get this much sort of in, spaced on the surface where I like it. And as I'm looking at it, even here, I'm already seeing adjustments that I want to make that I'm going to do right now. So sometimes when you get back from your work, you'll be like, wow, those are tiny feet.
Is that what happened?
Maybe. But I know it's going to bug me.
I didn't notice. I would have just thought they were shoeless feet. Or that, you know, it was a style choice.
And sometimes that'll happen. I'll be like,
dainty feet.
Well, no, her feet are dainty, but it's just too dainty. Too dainty for her. So you want them to be long and, you know, exaggerated, but that was just too much. So now I'm going to step back from that and give it a look.
Give it a look.
And I feel okay here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm getting there.
She says that, and then she paints some more.
Well, you know,
I don't
this
care.
Is the process,
it's your show,
guys.
This is your paint show. You tell us what it's done.
I don't know. It was my paint show, but then I don't know.
Then, did someone come along?
I don't know. Maybe this is me. Maybe this is someone else. All right. So here I am in this. If you're having any trouble with this, again, use a traceable. There are apps that you can use to project on the canvas. There's a lot of tools. You don't have to draw today. Drawing is a fun process, but it's not the only technique in art, and it's not the gateway to you getting creative. Now, I know you guys have this. This is the part. Let's all take a deep breath. It's stressful, figurative stuff. But remember, keep saying this to yourself. This is your mantra. It's abstract, so I'm okay. It's abstract.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. It can be my own. It can be unique. It can be all right. So when we come back, we're going to put in the first layers of the leaves, and we'll let you know what's involved in that. I want you to get there. Keep your questions all in caps to the moderators. I want to wave at Facebook. I want to wave at YouTube. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm seeing everybody on this stream. Make sure you guys both feel the love because I really, really appreciate it. Then we'll come back?
Yep.
Okay. So if you've done the beginner acrylic painting course with me or have been painting for a while, you're pretty familiar with what we're going to do next, which is kind of a touch pulling stroke, creating a little leaf shape. We're going to do it slightly darker and lighter than the background, and then we're going to do some little checky bits for the abstractness of it, John. Say the word with me again.
Abstractness?
Abstract. I don't know why it got bionic.
Right.
It got bionic. It got bionic. What do you want? It's bionic now. It's the $6 million abstract. And 2 of you got that. Okay, so let's just hop right on in. I'll show you what I've got. I have my number 8 round here. It's about a medium-sized round synthetic brush. I have ultramarine, phthalo blue, and titanium white. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get my brush good and wet. I'll load up a little bit of my phthalo blue, and I'm going to add some white to it, right? I don't want as light as the background, but I don't want as dark as phthalo blue. Right? So we want like kind of a shade or so darker at the very least. And we're going to come here and we're going to point down, press in, and pull up. Maybe a little lighter than that. Press in and pull up.
That looks neat.
Yeah, these are little leaves. Or what is this? What is basically a willow tree. Coming down here, things might get lighter, right? Like I might go more into the white, but I don't want it to be, where I can't see it completely. So that's what I'm going to be playing with. Also coming down here, I'm going to touch this brush lighter. Look, if I press a little bit less, what happens? The leaves get smaller. Press harder, leaves are bigger. Press lighter, leaves are smaller. Trees are very personable. They have big and small leaves. So, give your tree some personality. Trust your tree. But it's not that hard of a stroke.
It's a tree stroke.
It's a tree stroke. The trees have strokes. All right, I'll just put this here. Sometimes they might cluster together, and that's all right. A little motion in them. You can see I work the paint in so that when I go to make the brush stroke, it's easily leaving paint there. I'm going to come over here to the left, and I'm really going to fill in this upper area of the canvas with this. You get that sort of general sense of leaf, right? These are leaves that are maybe in the shadow of the tree, and that's why we're painting them in this cool color, to represent that feeling about it.
Ah.
And that's why they're not, so dark or so light, but they could be at the edges. I want to leave room for the green to come in here and really show out, and I want to leave room for the interesting kind of checky patterns that we might be getting into. So you gotta have room to play. And the nice thing about sketching her in is that I can take some of the leaves in and out of that space so that there's a good layering. Come much more into the white. Maybe add some white leaves down here. See how we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Now do that all through here.
All the little leaves.
Just a little white because it's abstract. Let's be playful. Tips of the branches, just catching a little sunlight. We love it. All right, I'm going to rinse that out. And I find in paintings like this, creating, I don't know if you've ever Zentangled. I actually had to just do that with my son for his homework.
Nice.
And one of the things is about creating different, actually, it was assigned by the school, so it would be a Zen doodle because, no trademark infringement. But basically, it's the idea that you doodle meditatively and you change shapes and you counterbalance shapes and textures. That's what we're going to do here a little bit, but not in a trademarked kind of way. I'm going to get my number 10 bright, who's like from the TS line. This is from my Art Sherpa line, but you could just get any nice medium bright brush. I'm going to load up with some white. I'm going to make some little checky marks.
Oh, yeah.
And they might go over the leaves even a little bit. That's okay. We don't mind. You can put some blue in it if you want to blend it out. You don't mind. So it's like a brick, but it's not. Because we're not really trying to line it up that well. We're just creating these textures. I'll just go across and maybe down sometimes. It has a bit of the pattern to it, but yet not.
Right.
So it's just very gestural and suggestive. And there'll be a lot of this sort of downward acrossness that comes across the piece. I can always come back in with a little blue and exaggerate. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
I can just play here using value and creating also textures. So these nice drops and these nice little structural shapes. And that's a great background, John.
It really is.
All right, you guys did great. Even if you don't know you did great, you did great, right? Because you laid some drops and you got some leaves in there and you did some checks. And what's the word of the day? So it's all okay, right? That's what I want you to say with me. It's all okay. It's abstract. And I'm not implying that abstract artists don't work their little tushies off because they do design, composition, line, form, color, all those things are at play. But it does take some weight off of you, the beginner, to be like, I've got to be so objective. That way you can be objective about your art. All right, come back.
Yep.
We're going to get the next layer. Time for the believe in yourself leaves, the believe leaves, and also some grass where the grass grows.
Grass.
So basically, we're going to give you some green colors and kind of balance this out with some brights. It's really going to pull us into some warmer weather, which I think some of us could totally use right now. I know I could. I bet you could at home. This is definitely an optimistic piece looking forward.
Optimism.
Let's get into it, right?
All right.
Okay. So I put out some cad yellow medium and some phthalo green. I've still got some titanium white back into my big chunky round brush, this sort of larger number 8 round. I'm going to get the brush wet and I'm going to lighten the green. Now the trick with lightening the green is first you want to get into the yellow.
Oh, all right.
You take a small amount of green into the yellow and you make a very, very light green. Very light green. And we're going to come here. Now we're going to kind of really think about some really detailing in the trees. I'm just on the toe of the brush. Can you see that? So these leaves have a little more personality. And it's okay that some is kind of like shining through. We don't mind. They're layering. That's what we're doing. We're layering the leaves. Jonna, they're very layered leaves.
They are.
Layered leaves. Ooh,
As
16 by...
opposed to the unlayered
I
leaves.
tell you what, you do these 16 by 20 canvases and you're like, man, I miss my table. Table's so much easier.
But this is
Hope.
big.
Huh?
This is big. What do they say?
Oh, wait, I just got some white early. Don't get the white yet.
Don't get the white.
I was too early. Preemptively white. This is what?
What do they call it when it's big and statementy and
Substantial?
Substantial.
Oh, I hate when I do this where I've got that clipped in there and I've got it clipped so tight for the show that I can't get it. You don't have your thing clipped this tight, but I have to.
Yeah, we can adjust that between scenes.
We're going to adjust it between scenes, and that's fine. You get the gist. I'm teaching you how to paint it. Yours can be different than mine. Let's put some little leaves here that
just
are...
the belief leaves.
Little belief leaves. I believe in myself. I believe I can live. Oh, John. Guess who's here?
Who? Oh, the dog. There's a dog on the ground.
Yeah, she's here. She'd like to do her thing.
She's just making a scene. She's not even, like, groomed. She gets groomed on Friday, I think.
I know, she's so dirty, but we does her. And we don't care. We loves her. She's loved. If you're any heavier, this wouldn't be doable. Mm-hmm. You kiss my face. I don't know where you've been.
Too late. She has you. She
got me.
She does. A little bit over the shoulder gotten.
So, a little distracted during my leaves. I don't know if you guys have studio companions too.
They can come and go.
We had gotten a new puppy for the house, and Twix took it real hard at first. I can say it's a little better, but not necessarily totally better.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's still some feelings happening.
So you're just
I'm just trying to like one hand hold the dog and paint some leaves and just because people are insane in my life and I'm just trying to juggle through.
Just rolling with the dog.
Rolling with the homies. We miss you, Brittany. Not Spears Murphy. I mean, I'm super glad that Brittany's free now. It's a weird thing to have happen to you.
That's just, yeah.
That's some celebrity problems right there.
Yeah, that's super
I'm
different.
I'm going to just make sure that it's nice and great up here because this is just for my painting. You don't have to do this technique. I just can't get all the way up my canvas because it's too tight in here.
Because there's a dog on your shoulder.
Yeah, and there's a dog. Okay, sweetie. I have given you the love. I have. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Oh, she's doing the wheezy thing.
She does the gravity dog where she like finds a way of not going someplace. So, you know.
Am I still mic'd?
You are.
Okay.
She's still with you.
She's still with me?
She loves your loving.
She loves me. All right. Now, while this is having a little bit of a set, I'll go ahead and grab my bright, my number 10 bright, and get some light green for the grass. It's layer 1.
Yes. Just some grasses.
Just the beginnings, and I can kind of come in on the feet. It doesn't really matter. You can paint past the dress a little bit, you know.
I don't have any like positive puns for grass.
No?
No, maybe if you guys have a positive pun for grass, leave it in the comments.
Like a dad joke for grass. We all know the other ones. We know.
But like, you know, I don't know what would be like.
So since I just had that color mix, I just thought I'd get into that and like let
grasses.
It be. Yeah, just let it be a little bit. But back into this. Back to my round brush.
That's a round one?
Yeah, I'm going to get some white into that mix.
You said not to do that.
Well, I said yet.
Oh, it's
Didn't
okay
say
now.
like ever.
All right. Just checking. You got me all worried earlier because you were like, don't do the white.
This is such a bright light green that we're trying to get to. Get there.
Make me all stressed out about the white.
Right? Like it's just a bright, lightly green. Look how bright and light that is.
Oh, that is bright.
Right? Now you know I wore the colors I wore today because I wanted to be I said to John, in 2022, I want to match my paintings more. Why?
Wardrobe match.
Just because it's fun, which means, so you're like, oh, wait, is that why you're at the easel? Because you can't wear green on the green screen? Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, that's a color that's not allowed anywhere.
Can't do any of my green outfits
I need to get like a
on the green
chroma teal
screen. Mm-hmm.
or like, you know what I mean? Like a,
I super do.
a different color chroma so you can do that.
So this is
A
the
blue.
little bit of phthalo green, lots of cad yellow medium, and some titanium white.
We could do chroma blue, but your eyes would all be like sparkly and.
We could do chroma opera pink, but that would disappoint everybody forever because they're
Your
like,
hair would be gone.
yes, right. There is no chroma. I'm chromoed out of the whole thing.
You get the green. That's what
This
you get.
upsets me. You get what you're supposed to do. My canvas is tied up here. That happens. Bring some of these little bright greens down. You want to bring some of them down. They need to be here. So painting the grass and painting the leaves at the same time. Sometimes when you're on a painting and you know you're going to be using a lot of the same colors
Mm-hmm.
in two areas, you can be letting one dry, which that one isn't yet, right?
That's what you did. You just checked it.
Yeah, just checking it's still a little wet while you're doing another area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an alternative to your hair dryer, my friends.
I see.
I see trees of green, red roses too. Can't sing, but I will still sing to you. 'Cause I think to myself, it's a wonderful world. To so many light green leaves.
Gotta. These are the belief leaves.
You gotta believe in your leaves. Believe in the leaves. They're so cheerful, aren't they? These
They are.
bright green is just, it's so cheerful. Now, this is still, well, it
You need
may
to dry
take it.
it?
Let's see if it takes it. Let's
If you need
find
to dry
out.
it, we could do a good dry.
Can we do a dry?
Yeah, give it a little quick dry.
Little quick dry with my hair dry.
Just do that a quick dry.
When it's dry enough to hold paint, then I'm going to come in and I'm going to get into some different kind of little green and yellow spaces, right?
All right.
So let's make this bright green right here, and we're gonna. Do you remember that check thing we were doing?
Yeah.
We're gonna do it all through here, but like a lot.
I see. It's all streaky-ish.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Just sort of loosely mixed it. I don't want to lose my foot entirely, but it's okay if something is here. Get some of that light green on there. It blends in. That's okay. I'm just kind of using it up.
Now
A
that
bit
you
of
know where
pure green here.
Oh.
Seeing I'm just sort of back and forth, a little bit of check. All right, a little checking. A little structural, use the shape of the brush. A little bit of light green. Why is the light green here? Because it's like a little bit of sunlight. Then I'm going to come back into my green green. And then coming from the pot, look, it's like a little shadow.
Yeah.
Without doing a little shadow. All right, and then maybe, also too under our dress, and under her legs. Get a little altering blue on there. phthalo blue. Look at that.
Wow. Turned out really nice.
Yeah, and then when we go over with the dress, right, it'll just be a subtle thing, but it'll feel a little darker,
Oh, yeah.
right, down that center. And rinse out and just make sure I got that light. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Kind of came through with just a very light green, maybe a little bit of light green right here.
Yeah.
Contrast. That was busy time. I'm
That
rinsing
was.
out thoroughly. Okay, it's probably a good idea to dry everything here with your hairdryer just generally before we go on to the next step. John,
Yes.
but they're doing great. Are you doing
I
great?
think so.
Okay, take a deep breath with me and release that anxiety because it doesn't belong here. You're just doing art. It's okay. Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. It is exactly perfect. You are exactly where you need to be. There's no place to rush to, right? So you've got it. All you've got to do is believe in yourself and come back on the next step. And I'll show you what you can do next. All right, so we've gotten all of this work in, and now we get to do some of the fun stuff. So let's get the pampas grass in, John. You know what pampas
Ooh.
grass is?
Is it grass that thinks it's better than everyone else?
That's what I was going to say, and you took my joke. All right, so we're going to be putting these little fronds arranged nicely around here, and to begin that, I am going to want to take the handy-dandy half-inch angle brush. I have put out these colors so far. I've got ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, cad yellow medium, phthalo green, burnt sienna, Mars black. I've got some dioxazine purple and titanium white. Now, I may not get to everything this particular step, but we'll let you know what's in the individuals and those individual colors, John. I'm going to take this half-inch angle, and I'm going to load up a little of my burnt sienna and some phthalo green. It makes a nice dark green.
Does it?
Mm-hmm. It does. And when I have a nice little load on that little bead, I'm going to come here and kind of go below the vase and make a little line out.
Oh.
Look at me doing that. It's a little line out.
Some vase lines.
Well, what it is the grasses are arranged in the vase.
In a superior way?
They are superior because they're pompous.
At least they're self-important, at least.
They are super self-important grasses.
They have no idea there's a wedding going on. They're just like, it's all about me.
Now I'm going to add some little kind of blades.
See,
if
you have some pampas grasses at your wedding, you can just put them in the vase.
Now I bring these blades even through some of what I've got here, and the reason that I do that is so that there's a nice continuity in the painting. You know, I think it's fun to do. When I have those in, which is pretty fun, I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to take a little of my yellow over to my purple. And you can see it really kind of stained that out. I'll put a little more yellow in it. See that there?
Uh-huh.
So it's a very weird little purpley yellow color. Add some white to it. Oh. Believe it or not, many pampas grasses, many of these stuck-up little grasses, have this sort of purple undertone. I just know because I grew up with them.
Mm.
My mom was a fan of stuck-up grass. Now, to get the stroke, I'm going to come here in the center and kind of pull this out. And I let the brush sort of feather a little bit out because you want to create this sense of a frond. That's what they're called, fronds.
Huh.
We used to be able to buy them as decor, pre-dried ones. We had them all over our ranch, so we never had to. Now, this one I'm going to just do one kind of one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that little green got up in there. It's not important to the overall problem.
Right.
I just want to make sure that I have a nice arrangement of grasses. Why is this important? I don't know.
Because the grasses, you need to keep your pampas grasses in a vase.
You do, or they'll just get all over.
That's right. So I can just see this.
I'm just adding little bits of fronds kind of down there. Mostly for that purple color. And again, remember guys, it's abstract.
This is very nice.
Yeah. So you can just be very chill about this whole process. I might put a little pampas here. Just a little bit of this right here.
Be nice, or you're going to be put in the vase with the grasses.
I mean, if you feel that's a threat, you could threaten that. But I don't know how threatening that is.
People be like, "What?" Be like,
I
"Those
don't know
pampas
what you mean
grasses
there.
in the corner with you."
Well, while these are having a little bit of a dry, I'm going to rinse out my little 1/2-inch angle brush quite a lot.
Is that what you're using?
Yeah, and I'm going to take a little of my yellow. Yes, 1/2-inch angle brush. So it's a small brush, on an angle shape, and it's got a synthetic filament.
And it makes a brushy mark.
And it
On
makes
an
a
angle.
brushy mark. So I'm taking my yellow into my green, and then I'm adding some white. And then I'm doing that so I can create some little highlights to some of these.
Oh, get tricky.
Yeah, we like to get tricky with it. Just a little bit of value. It's Adam's family values kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to, add that in there sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of that. A little bit of that joy. Joy, joy, joy. Now I'm going to take my titanium white into my phthalo blue.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird thing I'm about to do. Enjoy. And come here and make a little kind of mark.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I doing that? I don't know. It really just pleased me. Let's get a little green into
It's
it.
pleasing.
I'm going to get a little green into it. Sort of layering of a texture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, yes, because it looked cool.
It does look cool.
That's kind of like, oh, you know what that is?
Texture.
That is like the dappling of light. That's what it represents.
Yeah. Dappling.
Dappling is dappled. Now I'm going to take my yellow over here, a little bit above where my purple is. It can tone it a bit, but I just going to add some white into this mix.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the fronds,
Oh.
a little bit of a highlight.
Highlighted fronds. No wonder they're pompous.
They're so pompous. And a little bit here and there. So again, still 1/2-inch angle brush. Really great brush to have. Any angle brushes are really kind of nice in one's paint kit. And I'm just really coming across. That kind of talks about the grasses, doesn't it?
It does.
So we know what they are. Just tap a little of this color up through here.
Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah, just a little abstracted through here. Kind of a nice variant. Just to keep it interesting. And that's what we do. Guess what?
What?
Is step.
It's a step.
It's a step. So after we come back, we're going to do the vase. The vase or vase? Vase?
I don't know.
It's up to you, but you've got this. Don't get caught in the weeds. Don't be all stressed about the grass. We're together. I'm here with you. You can do this. Just take a deep breath. I believe in myself. The inner artist is in you. Let's come back and show them how to do vase. Now we got to put those fronds in something, John, in this next step. Let's put them in a vase. I mean, spoiler, you saw it in the thumbnail, so it's not like I'm sneaking a vase up on you.
Yeah.
But we're going to do this vase. It's easier than you think, and you're going to love putting it in. And remember, abstract, which means if your vase isn't perfect, don't get twisted up about it right now. It just has to express the feeling of us.
Oh.
Or vase, whichever you feel. Mid-Atlantic accent if you have it or not. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm going to stick with that half-inch angle brush because I really like it.
Yeah. It likes you too.
I'm going to get a little of that original Pond Frond Deep, which is the cad yellow and the Doc's purple and a little white.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and add a lot of white to it just to start here. Now let's come across here. We can make the vase even wider if we want. All right. And since we haven't put the leg in, we can even make it, kind of bowling out more. The trick will be some sort of symmetry. And sometimes it's nice to kind of bring it on and off the surface because it's like, well, could be symmetrical. We don't see the other side.
You know what's crazy?
What?
I watched how they made traditional vases and pots and vases and things.
Like for which time period, though?
Like currently.
Oh.
They still do it pretty much the same way.
Well, that's kind of awesome. I'm going to paint this whole thing with this kind of putty color. We're going to call it the vase putty color. It's kind of a off-white putty color.
Like, you go down to the store and buy one of these out of ceramic. There's still, like, people who put that ceramic into, like, they spin it, and then they put it in a thing and fire it, and then they glaze it, and then they put it on a pallet, and it comes to you. But, that whole process of making it's really cool.
Oh, my goodness. Just painting this in. We have a busy house going on right now, don't we?
It seems to be.
Yeah, lots happening. Lots happening. But we're just going to paint. I don't know if your house is busy.
Sometimes there's clunkers.
Well, sometimes you just have a busy, busy house, right? We all can get into the studio and the house is busy, and those sounds can be comforting. Maybe not my house's sounds for you, but your house's sounds for you might feel very, very comforting just generally. Once I have all that white in right here, I'm going to add a little bit of, go ahead and get some ultramarine blue over here. Interestingly enough, I'm just going to come from the edge, and it's a very light color, and I'm going to stroke from the right to the left, just very lightly. See, it's just a bit of it's not a deep shading, is it? Now, to do the check, really you can't do that till this is fairly dry. So let's dry it with our hair dryer. Your drying may take longer than mine. If you're watching during the live, hit that pause button. Chat will keep going. You don't have to worry about that. And then, paint at your pace. Don't try to rush yourself along with me because that can create a lot of unwanted pressure. Just enjoy it, man. Chat, paint a little bit, pause the video, or on replay.
Yep.
Maybe you're here through time travel. Let's do that. And we come back with the vase dry. I'll show you how to put on the check. So now that we have our vase shape, John.
Yes.
Vase shape. You guys have your vase shape? We're doing good? We got it together? I'm digging my matchy-matchy vibe, by the way.
It's like the shape of vase.
The shape of vase.
We're not worried about the water anymore, just the vase.
Shape of vase. I'm hearing the song in my... Never mind. So, not that content of music ID has ever
Ace of
me.
vase.
All right, but let's put these checks in because that'll be fun. I'm going to take half-inch angle brush again, handy-dandy half-inch angle brush, and I'm gonna pull out a little black. Right, I might get a little phthalo blue into it because that's kind of nice, and then a smidge of white, and see you get this almost like steely gray. It's black. Almost, but just a little bit less than black. I'm going to come across the top. I'm going to go ahead, interestingly enough, and outline here.
Uh-huh.
in here. And I'm going to come across just every so often with a line, a little bit curved. Does not have to be perfectly spaced, by the way. You can be real particular or not. It's just up to you. Make little marks across. Then I'll come kind of in between. That's sort of what I'm doing. I will place these a little off sides from each other just to create visual interest.
Mm.
You know, as you do.
They are interesting.
There's something. It's just a little bit of a checky vase. And come here and just kind of give strong lines. In abstract, every mark has meaning. And you start to get a sense, all the color, all the textures, all the mark create lines. I'm going to rinse this out as I'm looking at this, you know, because it's a much bigger object, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to come in and add a little yellow over here and get some white. I'm going to come to this side of the vase, the left side of the vase.
Oh.
I'm going to add some of this. Isn't that nice?
It is.
Might come in and get a little of my blue mixture and a little white. Kind of make that interesting on its own, you know.
A very
Try
nice
to make
vase.
it fascinating as you go. Looking at that now, I'm gonna knock some of that back.
What you knocking back?
I'm gonna kind of come in between here and kind of pull that back.
I see.
And that's something that you know you're gonna do when you're doing kind of more abstract things. Is you're gonna look and you're gonna go, does it work? And if you're like, and you don't worry about it. You come through and you change it.
Might make some changes.
Grab some a little more yellow on that one. A little more blue here. Into that black, kind of playing that up, right?
Yeah.
You just play.
Feel the vase out.
Might come in and kind of add some cross marks. Because it's abstract, so you want to cross mark.
See.
Play with that texture. Stronger yellow. All right, so here we have an object that could be quite dull. I mean, to be real honest, could be. We work on it, we make it more interesting by placing colors here and there on it. A little purple on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks pretty interesting. Maybe get a little more white on there. Just layering it through. I like it. Now I do see underneath here, I've got to still think about this shadow.
Okay.
So I'm going to come in with a little of my Doc's purple and my phthalo blue. Add some of this through there. Get some of this darker color like the blue and white. And let's see if we have a nice kind of Yeah, see how that's definitively kind of more
It's more
shaded?
grounded.
So abstracts like your regular paintings, one of the number one things, and see I brought that shadow up through that side of the vase, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just pull that through there on the left hand side over here, little shadows, and then kind of evaluate it. And you're like, oh, dude, now that's strong now.
Hmm.
Right, that has a lot of weight to it, and it's structurally there, and it's interesting. Now before I can go on and put her in, though, I really do need this completely dry, so it's another dry before the next layer. Let's dry it. When we come back, we're going to start putting in the funnest part, which is the figure.
Yay!
Yay! So John,
Yes.
let's do some hair.
Okay.
Right, you guys don't realize this, but like John's been like getting in my head recently about a painting I did a while back when we were young. I'm just trying to remember it. I cannot. Okay. So the hair.
The hair.
The hair. I'm going to use this. This is a number 6 Paris Classic by Raphael. It's a hog bristle brush that's a bright. That's what I'm using. I'm going to get it wet. And I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red, maybe over to my Doc's purple, because that's a nice combo to get a shadow on a red hair.
Okay.
Especially on an abstract, because we can be a little more creative.
Hmm.
And I'm going to come along the face here. And kind of start with this deeper color. Like even into the docs if I need to. Close to the head, I do want to be the, darkest color.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll move more into the red on the out. This is cadmium red. I added a little quinacridone magenta and cadmium red to the palette and a little extra plop of cad yellow to what we've had. So we're like building up. And this is sort of that first layer. We'll get all the little tendrils out soon, but we've got to get a base on for all of that to work. And I do want it to be, kind of noticeably dark, close to the face and neck and shadow. Cannot remember Tubi people for the life of me, John.
That's okay. I'm going to go through all of our old photos soon.
If you find it, I'll repaint it. I will. Probably it's like one that I blacked out because I didn't like it. That happens a lot. I block out paintings I don't love.
I think this may have been one you didn't like, but I did.
Was it one of those?
I don't know. May have been.
Yeah, may have been. Okay, so coming along the little dress here. And I'll sometimes come into the lines I think I was going to do just to, I can always get a little extra room, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm always doing is kind of going, oh, well, I can kind of come in here extra. It's easy to paint out. And then now here I'm going to kind of flare. See this?
Yeah.
To kind of give that hair a little bit of what it's going to have.
Give that hair a little flair.
Give that hair a little flare. Don't really want any flare up here, but
It's a button. Wait, no. Don't count your flair.
Oh man, do you remember flare? Did you ever have to work at a restaurant that had flare?
Not where I had to wear it.
No?
There were others that did.
Yeah, I never had to wear flare. But I was a terrible, terrible waitress, so I wasn't anywhere long enough that could have come up, and I certainly wasn't like working my way through the restaurant scene.
Hmm.
I had a good personality, like I was nice to people. I just couldn't, do like shot math in my head or upsell alcohol or
Most of my my restaurateur days were in Tex-Mex restaurants.
ah, that's right. I love Tex-Mex. I
It was
miss
just-
Tex-Mex.
Very simple black pants, white shirt. That's what we wore.
Very, very classic styling.
It's what our uniform was. whether you were a busboy or a server. I did a lot of bussing.
Lot of bussing.
I was a very that's what I was not like I wasn't a good waiter, but like I could work with a good waiter and
You could
kill.
clear a table.
Well, making sure that like all the drinks were filled, the stuff was taken care of because it was like I don't know. You had like bussers like who worked with different waiters and things,
Were you
and the
popular?
waiters would tip if like you bussed well. And so like I always got the best waiters, so I always like cleaned up
Well,
like
there you
relative.
go.
Yeah. So, you know,
Now everybody at home has learned about that and painted in a
hair.
purple and cad red hair. So Doc's purple, cad red. Here I like to flare, kind of fling this out, start to
Flare
do
the hair.
the little, what started this whole convo, the little bits of hair that will be coming out in tendrils. Right? So that's the basis of that. And you want to go like, is that full enough? Is that as full as what you're looking to do?
I don't
Right?
know.
I don't know.
Is it?
It's up to everybody there.
Okay.
Your full hair may be different than my full hair. I don't know. But what I do know is to do the next part. This needs to be dry.
Okay.
But I don't think we want to
can
do a
dry
whole
and
new
come back
step.
for another
Let's
step.
dry it and come back, okay?
Sure.
Hey everybody! Oh, that's the middle of it built like the video. John, say hi. So,
Hi.
so this is a good moment. I'm going to get caught up on the
Hello.
live
There.
questions that we've had. Hi.
I couldn't hear myself.
You couldn't hear yourself?
I was muted myself.
And remember, guys, this is our 2022 format, so just like definitely give us feedback. We think that these are better lessons that will get you better results. I just noted Ken A said something really crazy about there was a volcanic eruption and there's going to be a tsunami on one of the coasts. So if you're coastal living in the path of that, I really hope you're safe. So at this moment, if you're painting along, here's some good things you can do right now. You can get up and stretch and make sure that you're taking care of your body. Go get that coffee break. Go do that. I'm going to answer some questions. So if you had a question, hang around, whether it was on Facebook or YouTube, I'm probably going to get to it. And this will let people who are painting catch up. Let me know what you think of this. And then we're going to do it again at the end. All right. So first, we had some volume feedback, which John has been notified on, and we'll keep working on that. We had some Facebook people come in, and I want to shout out Sue Cole, Veronica Bray, Teresa Bone, Angela Hunt, Ellen Kelly, Elizabeth Torres, and Colleen Cameron and Anna Webster. Noletta is saying she's really glad to see the 16 by 20 again over on YouTube, and I have to agree. We've got a run of big ones, and then we'll get back to small. I like to go back and forth. I don't like to just be stuck into one thing and only do one thing. So hopefully you're like me in that. Jen Butterfly says, I love the reference picture in the corner. And it loads really pleased to see you with the easel and on a bigger canvas. I agree too. I like being on a big canvas. Angela says we're doing awesome, John. Camera angles are great. So these are all really good feedback things. Carol Moore says, can you do stick form to get better position? Because I tend to get out of proportion. I could actually do that in a future drawing lesson. I could do a stick form figure if that would help for the proportions. And I don't mind doing that at all. That's a good way to go. And I'm happy to do that. Great feedback. Angela Norham wants to know on Facebook, is that a liner or pointed brush outline bride and her dress? So I just used a regular round with a good point to get that. I didn't use any fine liners. And I've got the new brush explanation now where I just try to tell you the size of the brush within a range, the material the brush is made out of, the shape of the brush head, and the length of the handle. Because then no matter where you live in the world, no matter what you have access to, like if you're shopping at Walmart, you can take that information and find the best brush at Walmart. If you're shopping at Michael's, you would be able to go to Michael's and find the best brush there, or online. It would help you a lot. So that's the new thing. I want to thank Rebecca Clowers for sending stars. So Nikki Kayer says on YouTube, what can I use instead of abstract white, which I got in the beginning, but listen, on white, most white on any paint is titanium white. So if you're painting abstract brand of paint in white, you can just use another brand of paint of titanium white. You should be okay. I want to say hi to Rebecca Clowers, Georgia Wallace, Cindy Wilson, and Rebecca Hoffman over on Facebook. All right, I got another Nikki Kayer. Can I ask you something, please? Well, yes, you may, Nikki. What? Boy, that got posed a bunch of times. I answered that. All right, Martha Bailey says, how long are your drying breaks? So drying takes a different amount of time throughout the year. Right now, with the fireplace going, my drying breaks almost don't need a hairdryer. It's like by the time I take notes so that we have the materials and everything that we can put in the step, usually the painting is dry. But it can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on time of year, humidity, and how much paint I have that's wet. Georgia Wallace says, hey, John, from Facebook. John, this is for you. Great work on those graphics. I like that you put the brushes and color in the next step. That's really helpful, and I appreciate it.
Oh. Well,
so we had a meeting at the beginning of the year. It's called the fact meeting because they kept going, fact. And basically I was like, what would really help beginners is to know what the colors are in the step, what brushes are in the step. Thank you, Heather C., for the super chat, and get that beginning information there.
Fact.
And fact, that makes a difference to knowing what's coming next. The other fact on the other side of that is on the matching mini book to tell you what the color mixes were for each basic color in that step.
Fact.
So, fact. If you could get a reminder prompt, like you're watching this and you're following along, but maybe it's hard to remember the vase. If you have the mini book, fact, you've got that color mix. So that's what that is. C. Blanton, who is a member over on YouTube, says, John, can you get a shot on how Cinnamon has her humidifier by her paints and canvas, please? I did not have a humidifier set up that day, so he couldn't even have gotten a shot, but generally I have it within inches.
Just a little
of
tiny
my
one.
palette.
There's a little tiny desktop one that just goes
tiny. It's tiny, has a bunny in it. My daughter keeps stealing it. Facebook, Anna Rogers Webster. If I paint in oil and have been wanting to start painting in acrylic, but I've been a little nervous because I'm afraid it may not be as forgiving. Anna Webster, I hope you're still here over on Facebook. Say hi if you are, because I have the tip for you. If you're an oil painter and you're trying to get into acrylic, what you want to purchase is a product called Open Paint by Golden Artist Colors. It has a 24-hour drying time that you can accelerate with a hairdryer. So it's like oils, but acrylic, but not like oils because it'll be dry if you leave it alone in a day.
No.
Right? And its real active workability time is several hours. It's so much more forgiving.
Now, the next part is just a little over an hour long.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 14.
Hour and 14 minutes for part 2. I'm almost through.
Yeah, but you're gonna do more questions at the end of that too.
Oh,
right?
I was just trying to get to the next segment. All right. All right.
No, you keep going. If you got more questions there, you're okay.
Bella had asked what lamp I would advise, and I would say definitely watch the How to Set Up an Art Studio in the Beginner Acrylic Painting series.
Yep.
Ashley Welch says, why is a field of grass always older than you? Because it's past your age.
Oh, that's a good reason.
On YouTube, Angela Rowland says, cats love playing with Pompous grass and it goes all over the vase and falls over. That is super true. They like chewing on it. It's like all fluffy. And then I love this one. Heather C. over on YouTube says, if Sherpa did a Russian themed painting, would it be painted in steps? But And then we covered the colors in the vase. Again, check those mini books. Moderator Cad Yellow, learning to paint hair in acrylic for beginners. It's a video from 4 years ago. How can I see the whole video painted by her that day, please? So if it's rainbow hair or Daenerys, I pre-painted the black and white and then did the hair in real time. So those are just, you have the time lapse is what exists there on the faces. For hair in general, I have a whole series of paintings I'm going to redo again soon because it's been 4 years, as you mentioned.
Yep.
So it's time to freshen that content up. So that's where you can find lots of color combos for hair. Those playlists were shared. Marilyn Moiser, how long does this take to dry completely? If you don't use a hair dryer on it, it should be touch dry in 30 minutes and it should be cured in under a day. And cured, touch dry, it's not going to blend anymore. It's dry, but like cured, you can varnish it and do stuff with it. So there's a couple stages in acrylic. C. Blanton, Art Sherpa, how do you miss the canvas when it's as dry as this? My humidifier keeps the paints from drying at this point. I use a micro mister so it doesn't do big water droplets that run. So it's a very light, fine mist. It's the kind you use for facials. And then loving the new format, says Louise, with 100 on there. Thank you so much. All right.
Did you see Deanna's question about drop point leaves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where did I see that?
Right there on Facebook, right in front of you. I mean, YouTube.
I'm looking.
No, look up.
Why do my drops not come to a point, says Deanna, on your leaves? So to get the drop a point, and again, there's a technique video from the beginner acrylic painting course where I teach this brushstroke. It is literally the brushstroke video, but it's about pressure. As you begin that stroke, you have a firmer pressure, and then as you release, the brush comes back together, creating the point. So it does that weird little shape, and it's just about learning how to angle that pressure. But if you're needing help specifically with that brushstroke, and that's why I put it in the beginner acrylic painting course, because you have to do it all the time, that one is in there and it's taught with practice and basics and more information. It's a really good resource. If you guys have any questions about really those starting points in acrylic painting, that course is worth its weight in gold. In fact, I got to go check who has taken our test so they can get their certification today.
Ooh, yeah.
Remind me to do that. All right. So let's continue on. I'll see you at the end and catch up on any questions that you might have that you got there, and hopefully you're liking this format, and this is a good way to learn. Again, mini book 7 to 10 days out, so if you're needing that extra kind of like written explanation, that's going to come really, really soon. I love that you guys are here. And Marilyn says, thank you for answering. Of course, I love to answer you. I'm here with you, and I read the chat after, and I read the comments, and no matter how we do the live, it is live. I'm here. Okay, John, you ready?
I'm ready.
Boom, back to the class.
It's playing, I swear. It just must have a long intro. Wow. Oh, there it goes. I'm going to rewind it. See, look, we're live, good people. Totally live. This is unscripted. It'll be back in just like a second, like, because I put that live thing in there, and then I rewound it, and it's like, come on, man. What's going on? Oh, there it goes. Okay. Okay. I'm going to be quiet now. Bye-bye. Have fun. I think it's make sure that she talks.
So I'm kind of noticing her hair and my hair are not that far off right
No,
now.
they're looking pretty.
So you could probably do this if you felt like it. I'm not saying you should. Well, you could. But we're going to go all the way red, John.
All right.
Okay. So let's get in here. This is a number 6 bright still. And I'm going to come into my brighter red. Just like kind of over here, kind of loading this in. You can get a little of the purple into it as you're staging it up. Right? And I'm going to come through and very lightly, and it's kind of a dry brush because, you know, I'm just trying to go over the top and create layers and depth before I get into a fancier brush. I don't want to take the depth away from this part of the hair, so I'm going to come here in the corner and kind of see how we sweep that back.
Yeah.
And talk about that curl back. A little bit of cad red, and just a smidge of the dioxazine purple. Smidgy. Smidge. You can see it layers up nicely.
It does.
I may have to put out some more paint as I go. That's not uncommon on certain methods.
Mm-hmm.
And here, if I need to get back into that dark and kind of blend out, see, I can do that. A little bit there. I like to kind of shade that out. I find this part very relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about the figure gets really relaxing for me. I understand that might not be everybody's experience at home, though.
Adding a little shading here and there.
A little dark shading here and there. I kind of like to do that. It's just a nice touch, you know. Ooh, got a little darker than I expected there. So what I just do is I kind of just blend that around there. Easy to lighten up. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And come right back and sort of softly blend that back in, as you will see. It's just sort of getting some motion and some flow. Some motion to the hair. Come on this side. It's a little smoother over here, less blowing away. And that's because the wind is going back that way, so everything's kind of going that direction. You know, I wonder, I think that this painting, like, I mean, she is kind of a bride, but I feel like it could be more than that, you know? I feel like it could just be like, you know, a sense of freedom or renewal. You know, maybe more of a personal journey as well. Kind of thought of her as having some very strong, positive energy in that way. When I come back in, I can kind of come back the opposite stroke direction, and that kind of keeps the hair flowing, if you'll notice.
Oh, yeah.
Getting that flow going. Now, rinsey, 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 rinse. I do think I'm going to need a little more red. I'm going to put that out on my palette. Right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. You can go a little slower with the cadmium. It's better to put it out because it's kind of an expensive paint unless you're buying hue. So, you know, doing it in smaller and smaller amounts is not the worst. Come and get almost like pure cadmium. And I'm just going to very lightly, with a damp brush, still the same one. I might come on the corner. And these are S strokes, right? These are curved strokes, and the curve kind of implies the hair, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Gives it motion, puts some wind on it. Hair doesn't have to be this color. This is my painting. It could certainly be different, and that would be okay. And I have a lot of videos on how to do different hair.
I like this one because I married a redhead.
Well, at one point I was, for sure.
Now you're a purple.
Now I'm a purple head. People will be like, what's your natural hair color? And I'm like, who knows anymore? Like, it was strawberry blonde at one point, but that was a minute ago. Okay, just continuing to kind of create that sense of value, right? Isn't that fun how we bring that in?
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have a rough brush. You could do this with any brush. I just like to use, you know, a hog brush. I'm going to get a little of my yellow. Make some highlights in that red.
Ooh.
And come right here to the crown and kind of add a highlight. Here, perhaps. And a little bit to those outer edges, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like fire. Fire.
Mm.
You know, and you just pick little highlights. You know, what's nice about painting bigger like this is that you can, you know, be a little expressive, be a little bit loose. You don't have to get so deep in details. come to the ends and warm those little ends. Aren't those nice and warmed?
Mm-hmm.
Little bright oranges here. Little highlight there. It's fun how the hair picks up
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks a little bit like a highlight. Just play. Little
Yeah.
S curves. Just, hair is fun. Get it full, get it flowing.
This really turned out cool.
I love it. Let's bring a little more red around. Just enjoy the process, right?
Yeah.
So, take that in, take your hair as far as you want. You can't take it too far. You can't make it too full. In fact, John, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I could
What
go
you do?
fuller. I could go fuller.
Fuller?
I could be fuller in my hair.
You could be.
Right? So like, you look at it and you're like, could it be fuller? Sure, I can bring it out more. There's no end.
You could just keep filling it.
You can. You can just take it as far as you want. Just play and play and play till her mane
Mm.
is the mane of your dreams. Right? Woo! So you feel like going, woo! Do you feel like going, woo? Are you guys doing good? I hope you're doing good. I know you can do this. Sometimes hair can be a little frustrating. Just remember, more is great. Bigger is better. Right?
Texas hair.
Texas hair. Get that full Texas hair going. Let's dry this, and when we come back, I'll show you the next step. So, John,
Yes.
skin tones.
Skin tones.
People at home,
Yep.
skin tones, which is kind of a daunting, stressful concept. But remember, abstract. Anytime anyone comes in the room and makes any comments, you go, abstract, abstract. Okay, so abstract. We're going to do that. I'm going to give you a basic skin tone. I have skin tone recipes if you want to do something different, and that is completely okay with me. I never mind when you guys personalize paintings. That is always cool. But I'm going to show you how to do this one, and then you can make variances as you see fit.
All right.
Here we go. So we're going to kind of paint all this in. I might move or change a few things here. I'm going to get my big round that we had from earlier, the number 8 black pearl. I'm going to get a big one. And I'm going to make kind of a little basic skin tone recipe here, which is a little cad yellow and cad red and titanium white. I'm going to take it a little more to the cad yellow. The wonderful thing about abstract, and you can always put a little burnt sienna if you want it, is that you don't have to have like perfectly accurate human skin tones. But basically, I've got to get some in, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to be up at the top. I'm going to round the face down. Now I know that I've got 2 tones on this face, and I will come back for that. But right now, I'm just getting that layer in, that first layer. All right, that's what we're doing, that first layer.
I have to put a couple layers of this to make it nice and smooth and even.
Well, it doesn't even need to be smooth or even.
Oh, that's true.
That's really not the. What we are going to want some tones and values. And so that's kind of more of what I'm worried about. And I just got to get this first one on. Because, maybe your colors are transparent. I don't know. Right? I'll have to bring that purple back in, I think. which I will do in a minute. Now I've got to come into my legs, and I think I'll deal with this one here. I may bring it forward a little bit. And I am going to add a little more white to this to help cover what's underneath. Kind of get that in there. Again, cad yellow, little cad red, titanium white. Stroke out for the calf.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the calf has nice thickness in the calf. And remember, we're going to be lining over everything.
Right.
So you don't have to be perfect here. There's a lot of work that you'll be doing.
Yep.
So I'm just going to keep, kind of coming up, and you can add more white, you can add more yellow, you can add more red. It's all okay. And come down kind of on the toe of my brush to maybe think about the foot. And the thing is just trying to get a foot that's, foot-like.
Foot-like.
So I like to make sure that I get a nice arch and come out to a heel. And then, of course, Twix is like trying to hop up, but I can't right now, Twix. Painting skin tones.
She seems to be doing that a lot.
Yeah. So I've got a nice little kind of foot shape there. And then I'm going to come in and,
Ooh.
generalize the hand. I like to leave it a little extra room for the fingers that might be around the bouquet. And again, abstract. So we're not under that much pressure. And we're going to be coming in and lining. Right? So that's going to help a lot create those shapes and elements. I don't mind if these lines cross each other. That's okay at this stage because the shading and everything comes a little later. And what's kind of nice, if things are a little transparent, it actually helps me kind of keep track of where stuff is for later.
Ah.
This foot, believe it or not, is in front of that leg.
Yep, crossed.
And what's going to be big is trying to make sure that that foot and this foot are somewhat kind of relational. Same size feet, sort of. So that's a little bit of what I'll be doing, is trying to just make sure that they have something similar. And again, I can do a little bit of that in the lining. Which is great. And the other reason I felt confident doing blue in the beginning is I'm going to be doing a blue lining.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps me as well. So some of these spaces, right, like the leg, the arm is in front of the leg, and this leg is in front of the other leg, and it's really about object placement, right? And so we've got to get that base coat in. I'm going to go ahead and touch up with my round that area of the hair that's kind of purple red.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a little excited, around my ear. Because I really like that slender line.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to lose it.
And this is where you can kind of trim that in, huh?
Yeah, and sort of do little touch-ups and be a little precious about it. Now, to do the next part, I really kind of want this first layer to be dry.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dry this really well. Again, it was the cadmium yellow, the cad red, titanium white, maybe a touch of burnt sienna. It can be a little bit different in its like tones and everything because again, it's ready to play layer 1, right? So it's layer 2, layer 3 where everything comes together. So dry yours, I'll dry mine. We'll come back and we'll start putting in some of those values and tones and details that give her the rosy glow. So we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to let it out. Painting figures can be a little much, but you got this. You can do it. You are a really capable person. I'm here. I'm here to answer questions. Remember to put those all in caps so that if I've got a video for it, the moderators can let you know. I want to thank everybody for their support today. I really, really appreciate it. Are you ready to show them the rest of this?
Uh-huh.
More steps.
All
Let's
right.
go. Okay. So I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet, and I'm going to use my number 4 round. And I'm going to go ahead and get into a little of my phthalo blue and my dioxazine purple.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll that off some. I'm going to very carefully come along the face and just do a fine line of that color.
Ooh.
Back up the jaw, around the ear, down the neck, definitely along that shoulder. Notice how I kind of curved that line there. That'll be nice later. And come in and just kind of do some anchoring lines now. Lines that really help us see the objects and the spaces on our characters. So like on this forward leg, you know, come down here, nice long line. I'm still going to come in with skin tones and values and all of that, but this is just going to help these spaces feel like what they are.
So you know where they're at?
Mm-hmm. And also if I've made a terrible, terrible mistake. Which isn't common, but can happen. And here is like the easiest time to kind of get into it. I don't want to be too picky, though. I think that's a mistake in this type of painting to get too picky.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, like when I work with my kids and we do something, and I'm a very careful mom because I try really hard not to be their teacher.
Sure.
But I do observe. Right? And one of the things I've noticed is that if they perceive a little error, they'll go back and do it again and again and again and again. And it really sucks the energy out of their creative time.
Sure.
So what I want to say to you is if you have a little line that's maybe different than you perhaps wanted it, don't stress about that. That's really not the important part here at all. It is a sum total of the parts and the way the whole thing goes together. If you have something that just really makes you miserable, yeah, of course you can change it. But if there's a way that you can avoid that stress for yourself, I would avoid it if you could. You know, and you're going to be shading and doing all kinds of things. Right? Like we have that going there around the bouquet, so we don't need to be that specific about it. And when we put more skin tones in, we'll be like, oh, that was very interesting, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to get a little more paint on there because I do want to see these lines a little bit within the fabric folds. And the dark lines, you know, maybe they'll show a lot, maybe they'll show a little as we paint in the different objects, and that's okay. It's going to give us a little bit of flow.
I see.
On the face, I'm going to add a little of my burnt sienna to my blue-purple mix, which may seem a little strange. I might even get a little quinacridone magenta. Kind of roll this out on the tip. And right here, down the face, I'm going to make a little line across that's going to represent the nose. From the hair part, I'm going to draw a straight line down.
You've made her Klingon.
In some ways, yes. And you'll see it when we paint both sides of the face, but this is that first kind of like delineation. And remember, we thin a lot of this with color.
Hmm.
So you're okay right now. Now, I'm going to come here. I'm going to take a lot of quinacridone and a little cad yellow together this time.
Okay.
All right, so it's quinacridone magenta and cad yellow. Maybe a little of my Da'ox purple.
Hmm.
And paint this side of the face kind of a darker color. A little bit here, a little more into the purple. Let's get some white into it. Come under the neck.
Mm.
And we can paint right up to that line. That's okay. A little bit of it will show through, and we don't mind that. Now, across here, where the arm is, and then maybe here.
Little shadows.
Little shadows, yeah. We're going to start putting that in. Get a little more purple in that mix. Maybe a little more ultramarine blue and white. So we're all playing off the skin tones, but we're creating these kind of like little shaded moments, right?
Hmm.
Number 4 round. That's okay. Maybe a little more of that purple there. Just whatever I like. I'm going to bring a little bit of the shadow color underneath the foot. Maybe along the back of the calf too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just paint as you go. Maybe a little bit of shadow right there for an ankle. Come along the back of that. Under the arm. But there. We're doing actually pretty good. Now I'm going to get my half-inch angle. And I've got my, kind of my magenta, kind of cad red.
Mm-hmm.
Quinacridone magenta, a little cad yellow. Get into this white here. And I want a very light color. Get a little pink into it. I want it to be quite pink. Try to cut. Little hard sometimes when your palette is like very busy like this. Let's come in here and sort of lighten up that side.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Along the ear. Definitely lighter. Along the back of the neck. Right. And you can see that the skin tone underneath has been really helpful. And you can even bring sometimes some of it in to like a mix you're working on. So there we go. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
A little more yellow.
And you've got lots of different skin tone recipes and hair recipes, so if you could make this any way you wanted to, huh?
Really, any way you want to. I would say more than the specific skin tone is the value, like an area that's dark versus an area that's light,
Mm.
is much more big deal. Because again, remember the word of the day? Abstract. So
Ah.
I'm going to come up and then, top of the leg could be lighter. Maybe a little more into the old skin tone coming down, right? Because it's a little more in shadow. And I can come back with a shadow color, so I'm not really, again, stressed.
Right.
This isn't, like if I want to come back with that shadow, come right back with it. Get my brush wet, still half-inch angle.
Mm. Giving a little shape and dimension.
A little shadow and dimension. Little line back anytime I want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. We're just playing with the value. Add a little more yellow into this. Come along the knee. And again, do this leg. It just takes a second and you'll get there.
That looks so neat.
Come along and just add a little more.
Yeah. The feet.
Feet.
You've gotten to the feet.
We've gotten to the feet. Come here in the hand and let's give us some fingers. I'll probably come back with some pink there a little later.
Hmm.
As I go, right? So
Yeah.
this isn't just like one and done, right? Like so I get to here and I can I can decide what I'm going to do next.
You gotta kind of continue to.
You continue to play. You continue to go, well, is that got more of a like little shadow there and you want two or three values, right? You want different values of skin tone,
Ah, that helps. Two or
right?
three values.
Two or three values at least. You want a dark and a middle and a light at least.
Hmm.
And if you can get to those, you can handle anything that's going on here. A little bit of the shadow skin tone there at the leg. Maybe a little bit more at the heel and toe. Perhaps a little bit more going on at the neck. Right, that's doing pretty well. I'm going to rinse out. And see, stuff is drying as I go. So it builds up. And because we've done such a nice, like, very rough and expressive background, we're very low pressure here. I'm going to add a little white and yellow. I'm going to come back from here. Kind of like a little bit of a highlight. All right, a little bit of a highlight. Maybe a little bit of a highlight right here. back of the neck. On the arm. Maybe along the foot, the top, along the foot. All right, it's doing pretty good. Now I'm going to get some of my magenta kind of into the story a bit.
Okay. Add a little white there.
Yeah, add a little white, little pink. I'm going to pink up some of this. You know, just pinking it up a little bit.
Okay, so that's what you're doing there. I was just zooming in to see you can see a little bit more. Ooh. Ah, you're
Maybe
adding
a
a
little
little.
pink at that elbow. I think definitely some at this hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll come back with my, blue later to a little pink at the foot. A little pink at the knee. Maybe even a little more pink on here. Just working that out. Come back and kind of get into my liner again.
Strengthen those lines up a little bit.
Yeah, where they need to be. It's all good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real gentle here. Right? Okay. We got to get to this stage so that we can get like the little feature details and the other little details. So get here, and you want to evaluate. Do I need to like add more highlight here, which I feel like I do. So actually, before we go on, let's fix this here.
All right.
I'm going to come into my little purple mix. That was my shadow mix. And I'm going to come from the hand at an angle down.
Oh. Add a little hand shadow.
Right. And then I'm going to go back into a highlighted mix. And come forward and kind of bring that back. Now, let me look at that from a distance and make sure I'm happy with that. Just because I want a better. And let's see, how do I feel there? Better.
Mm-hmm.
Better. So, anytime that you're going, you just want to look at what you've got and you got to be like, is this what I'm trying to get to? And you ask yourself that exact question and it'll get you through. Might knock that knee back just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes that's what I'm doing is I'm just looking through. It's going, what do I think? Let's see what I think. What do you think? So you go through yours, what do you think? I go through mine, what do we think? We come back, we're going to add some details. So hopefully you're feeling okay. Try not to get frustrated with yourself. Getting these kinds of skin values can be challenging at first. What's great about this being in the abstract family, it means you can practice some concepts that you would do in traditional figurative painting, but without as much pressure as you might normally have. So give yourself a little pat on the back. Remember, this is playtime and you can handle it. You guys ready for what's next?
I'm ready.
Oh, this ended up being a much longer lesson than I planned.
That's okay.
That's okay. Alrighty now. I'm going to get my number 4 round And I'm going to go right into my Quin Magenta. I don't want my brush too wet because I want to pick a nice amount of paint up. And I want it to be fairly dark. I'm going to come here between the nose and the chin, and I'm going to create an upward bow and leave that there, okay? And then I'm going to come over to my white. I need to mix in a very light pink color, super light. And come underneath the bow with a little light lip. You can see that there. I'm going to come in and get a little pink here. And let's come at the cheek. Kind of add a little bit of a little dot there. Isn't that fun?
It really is.
I'm going to add a little more pink at this ear here. Now, I'm going to come down here to where that, I'm going to add a little purple into my Quin. Now I'm going to come across here. See the top of the ear? This is where this has to lighten up. You are going to have to love on Twix because I cannot right now. Base day is a very difficult day to pick up. Over on the other side, I'm going to come. You're going to mess up my eyes. And I'm going to just hint a slightly darker value. Can you kind of see that?
Can.
I'm going to come above this a little bit and maybe add some different little kind of hint of something, right?
Yeah.
Let's get our little red on here. Pure red.
Okay.
We're going to come atop and arc down.
Ooh.
It's not too deep. And then I like to kind of come here and kind of imply one. And you can even at this stage, if you want to, you have any part of the hair that you've got to detail out, it's a great time to do it. On the other side, I like to actually weirdly get a lighter pink. There's too much water in that brush. I don't want it too light, I don't want it to run down. Look, and then I'll do this side with the weird lighter dot.
That's
Why
cool.
do I like that? I don't know. I like it. And come here and kind of come over the top with a very light color. I also want to come over the ear here with a light color right there. I like to get back into my shadow color, which is my, dioxin phthalo blue. Get it real light on this brush, the number 4. And I'm going to come right under here. I'm also going to kind of come between the lips.
That's really cool.
And just kind of bring that there. A little bit of highlight there. Now the last thing I want to do, rinse out, rinse out, rinse out. You could do this in yellow, you can do this in white. I'm going to do it kind of mostly in white. I'm just on the tip of my brush. Just trying to get a little bit of fluid white. I don't want it too gummed up, right? See, it was too fluid. I was trying to prevent that. Sometimes the round brushes, they have a hidden water drop and you've got to just kind of watch for it.
That makes sense.
Right. There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight in the little lip here. There we go. I also may come into some of my pink and just make sure that my hand's a little bit pinker
Oh.
than you might think. Gonna touch up any of my elbow, maybe a heel, like anything I want to touch up here. I can do that now. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm really happy with that so far.
Give her eyes a little touch up.
Yeah, I like to do that. I like to be a little bit playful if I can. A little purple there. There's really no wrong at this stage, so you can really just play.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what I like to do. Just a little bit of play. I might even come here and add a little highlight to a couple spots. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. So now what we have left is the dress and the bouquet. I always like to finish on flowers, so let's do the dress next.
Okay.
So when we come back, we'll do the dress. So I'm feeling for the line of the painting that I actually want to move the dress a bit up the leg.
Oh, yeah.
I need to modest her up. So when we do that part, I am going to be moving that. So don't panic. I'm just going to scooch it. Great. The idea is that there's like shorts. Just no, there's skirts, and this is an open thing. I was just inspired by Torrid that season, and that's what it was. But, you know, art. So for modesty's sake, I'm going to move a little lines. You leave it however you want to leave it. Are you ready to get into the dress?
Oh, yeah.
You have this. You can do it. All right. I'm going to get back into my hog brush, John. I'm going to rinse it out and, make sure it's not too wet. And I'll go ahead and just get a little white. And it's okay if it gets a little purple into it. Right? A little of this purple and the white. And I'm going to come here. I can always come back with a dark line, but you can see already that definitely helps. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll be going along and I'll be like, And I'm just going to paint the whole dress in. I think it's important to pay attention to directionality.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay if my white has little bits of other colors in it. I'm not going to worry about that at this stage. Right? And come in and just try to have strong strokes. Strong strokes.
Yep.
Let your strokes be strong. And it's nice, I think, for this if some of the colors around the dress are reflected in the dress. Right? So it's not just blah, blah, white. You can see me just go on that, and that's doing pretty good. A little bit of purple. I can always come in and get a little bit of purple. Now I'm going to come here at the shoulder. Really try to come along that. You can always switch brushes if the brush you have is giving you any grief. Don't feel like you can't. Because you can.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to get a little water in my brush, a small amount to help improve the flow, I can always come up to the water cup and do that. And you'll find that'll let me get a sharper edge. Now, some people, their hog brushes get so fuzzy they can't work with them. And if that's your experience, then just switch to a synthetic.
Yeah.
Right? I have brushes that are, well, if you see it in my bucket, it's probably pretty quality.
Yeah.
Because I don't put junk in my art studio. But still, you've got to like what you've got in your studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being just kind of loose in general because this dress is very loose.
It is very loose.
It is very loose. I do want to say that I don't have a problem with doing figure paintings at all, just personally.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not in any way.
Oh.
I just also recognize, I'm in everyone's home. And so sometimes I think about things.
I like this painting.
I
think it's pretty cool.
I think it's fun just kind of get this first roughed in white. And if your white is very inexpensive, you might have to do a couple coats anyways. But that's good for this type of painting.
Right.
You want more. Sometimes I'll come in and get a different little color. I don't worry about it. All the mixes, that you've done before, you can put into here. You can put your greens in here. You can put everything in here.
Mm-hmm.
You can have any sets of color because white is so reflective, and already you can see that it's really working for her.
Yeah.
Come here and just be like very playful. Like if I wanted to come up and get a little of, say, my yellow and a smidge of the green,
Mm-hmm.
and get just the lightest possible yellow green in there, guess what? I could right here, and it would be okay. Playful.
Very playful.
Be playful. Should have lots and lots of personality happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And get a little pink in there. And that just will bring the fabric to life, is what
Yeah.
that does. You just get right on in there. Any of the colors all around your palette.
Any of the colors.
Any of the colors all around your palette.
I like that.
I'm going to paint rough and strong. Rough and strong.
Mm.
And give some energy to this dress. Add a little bit of my shadow color to the white. And look at that go. So this part, that can take a little bit of getting used to. Painting confidently, painting rough, painting loose in the fabric. Right? That can take a minute. Maybe a little white here at the shoulder to kind of highlight it. At the arm, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very shocking and enjoyable. A little white across here. I might put some more white out because I'm kind of enjoying that shocking.
Yeah.
That shock of white against such a really multicolored dress.
It really is nice.
You use about twice as much white, as you would think. Come across there. Notice I just sort of came across in cross strokes. Stroking from the left towards the right, kind of an angle. Look at that. Look at us go.
Mm-hmm.
It's abstract dress.
Abstract dress.
Abstract. Today's painting was brought to you by what? Abstract. But again, hopefully as you're going, you're realizing, well, one, just because you're abstracting, obviously this isn't a pure abstract, or maybe it's not obvious. This is not a pure abstract. Pure abstract would generally have not recognizable objects in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Purely abstracted. This is abstracted. In other words, I am simplifying or emotionally creating elements of this in a way that's not necessarily as it would be represented in life. And that's okay.
Like, technically, that, like, a human that had that face would have something going wrong.
I like her face though.
Right, but it's, it emotionally satisfies what a face should be.
It does emotionally and romanticizes what a face should be. And that's just really fun, right?
Right.
When we get to romanticize that, come here with like maybe a little bit of the shadow color and come underneath the sleeve. Love you too, Twix. Okay, okay, girl. You have been so much this whole painting. Okay? Okay. You're just having such a feeling. See, the thing is I think I started to pick her up when I was painting, and now it's like since she was a puppy, and now it's like a thing where she's like, it's time now. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow here in some of the folds. All right, a little bit. This isn't brilliant. I blame the dog. No, I'm not kidding.
She's totally enjoying it too. She's like, "Yep, this is where I wanted to be, right here."
Okay. Well, I'm going to cuddle her for a second. You guys catch up, and when we come back, we're going to put the flowers in her hands and in her hair. You guys ready for that?
I'm ready.
I don't know if Trix is ready to be put down, but you hush, I'll be ready to put down. I've got to keep painting. Keep painting. All right. See you guys in a second. It's the last part, John. It's the frosting. Right. It's the finish. It's the flowers. So we're going to do a very simplified rose. I've taught this rose a bunch. It's very beginner friendly. But what will stumble you as a beginner, and that you can totally get over because I know you can do it, is that sometimes we have a lot of feelings about flowers, and that gets involved in our painting. So I want you to let those go.
All right.
Let those feelings go. Let them go. Let them go like your Elsa. Let them go. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
I've added some fluid white, golden titanium, white fluid. You can use any craft paint. They do have 2 ounces of this. It's highly pigmented. I'm going to be using a dotting tool here to get little dots and elements. And I'm going to be mostly living in my number 4 round.
Next.
It's true. Right? Mostly. But maybe, there could be more because I got to paint in kind of like, and I'm also going to get my hog because I need to paint like a little bit of a background.
Okay.
So I'm going to take interestingly enough, my quinacridone and my phthalo green. I know, it's such a weird choice, right? And I'm going to come here.
All right.
Very carefully with my hog and sort of paint in the overall volume of the bouquet. Here. And we have to decide, how big do we want it? How big is it, John?
How big?
How big is it?
I don't know.
How big? I had very big flowers at my wedding. They were really lovely. A woman named Kathleen did them, and she was such an artist, Kathleen Mom. Such an artist. Amazing. One of my favorite memories. All right. So let's say it's that big. Right, and then we're going to come off the hand. I'm going to be very careful on this side. And we're going to bring out an area that will be, and I suggest it goes wider and then tapers, okay? That's where stems are going to sit. Okay, that looks very generous, that flower. This can dry for a minute, because guess what?
What's that?
We have other stuff to do up in the hair while that's having a dry.
Okay.
So we're not worried, are we?
I'm not.
I'm going to get a little of my magenta. And it's okay if some Docs purple gets involved in it.
All right.
Initially at this stage. And I'm going to come here. And I'm going to add some little touches. Look, I'm just touching the flower. These are like little touchy pool strokes.
Oh, okay.
So light and airy, right? And they're going to stop there. And then they're going to come around here. These are a loose flower. You can bring them into the purple even more here as they come around, just so that they will read as we go, right? Because sometimes flowers show on if they have nice depth. See how that's kind of made a little crown? We had a plan there all along. You didn't even know it.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's super cool. That's still drying. So one of the things that I can do is I can come in with just my green.
All right.
I can add maybe a little burnt sienna to it to deepen it because that can help it. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna sneeze. Help me.
Okay. I had you muted.
Did you save me?
I saved you from your sneeze.
I'm gonna add some pops of green here. These are leaves, if you didn't know.
Oh.
That'll be very important that I come back and add bright green, but it's nice to put them in now. I feel like another one might be coming on, but I'm trying to avoid it.
That's all right. If you need to, we can mute you.
I'll bring some leaves down there. I like to put them around. I'll do that with the other flowers too. So you can kind of see that that's just filling out. And you just want that to be as big of a halo as makes you happy. Now let's get into our yellow. Look how bright that is. Still green, but quite bright. And I might even get some white into it so they really pop. So see how that creates a little highlight? I'm almost blending wet into wet on the canvas too, which also creates some dimensionality and more tones to the leaves than I've actually mixed. Little trick.
That's cool.
Yeah. Look at that go. More tones to leaves than we've actually mixed. And because you have so many tones, they really kind of pop. But you need all the value. All right, that's getting pretty good. And I don't know where the sneezes are coming from.
Yeah?
The dog, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
While this is all having a dry, I'm going to get my bright green that you can see here.
I see it.
I'm going to add a little white to it. So it's super pastel and spring and wedding-y. I'm going to come along from here and add some ribbons.
Ooh.
It's fun to add ribbons. Just little strokes. They don't even have to all connect because sometimes ribbons are on the edge. And we're going to have so many there that, you know, that'll be all a thing. Let that rinse out. Let's come here and think about some flowers.
All right.
Let's get into our magenta that had a little Dox purple in it. Get a little white. It's still dark, right? It's pretty dark, but you can kind of see it. I'm going to come here to the outer edge. I'll make a little circle. Kind of make a little circle around that, and I'll keep running little circles around it. They're like circles hugging circles. Right, and that one's kind of facing that way. Wherever the circles are tightest and the side they're facing on, that's the side that the rose is facing. That's how I face my roses different directions. Sometimes I'll put buds. Right? Let's put a nice big one facing down. You know, that was a little goopier than I would have liked. You know what I do with that?
Spread the goop?
Spread the goop. It was some dry, got on there and kind of threw it off. But that's okay, I can save it.
It's, what's the magic word for it? Impasto.
Impasto. But what it is don't panic. You know, don't panic. Everything's okay. See, these are very suggested roses. I am, for whatever reason, really packing this bouquet with them. She had such a good wedding budget. You know, and I am going to be coming back with greens and other colors to fill that out. Have that be a nice focus one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little one down by her hand. And so these like curl, 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 circle, circle. Wherever the tiny strokes are, that's the direction the rose is facing. So if you want one facing this way, that's how you got to put that center of the strokes. Now, when I want it to be lighter, I'm going to come right into my white. I don't mind if some yellow gets into that because I want a very bright center. And here's how that works. The center of the rose is darkest and the outside is lightest. Just to give it that general kind of quick look, right?
Mm-hmm.
So see how that just pops them?
It really does. Oh,
That's all
those
we're
are so
doing to
pretty,
get
Rose.
those. Huh?
They're very pretty.
It's pretty. It's pretty and they want you to love them. Now we just go. Sometimes I get a little yellow involved there in that white. Pink, yellow, white.
Yeah?
Yeah. Little strokes, right? And as they come out, press harder. Curve them out. Boom, boom, boom. Little circles. And it, if you've got to practice, I think, we talked about these in the beginner acrylic painting course because you use them so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you do use them a lot. So it's okay to practice them. There you go. That's pretty full, I think.
That's pretty full.
All right, now guess what else needs some flowers?
Her hair?
Yeah, some highlight here. So now we're going to take this little pink, right? And that's the little tiny pink buds that we have up here that's contrasting with this lovely green.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the deep magenta, and then we've got those little pink buds there contrasting with that lovely green. When I'm here, I'm going to get just another light color because I'm just a pain like that. And add some little bright highlights.
Oh, just that
Couple of places. Just a
we,
few places, little brighter highlights.
You talked about that three-tone thing.
It does a lot of good. Having 3 values does help. You don't have to be perfect, but it's nice to give them some.
Do not maintain low tones.
Do
with
not
me.
maintain low tones, but just a little bit of variance there really goes a long way. And then when I have this pink, guess what I get to do?
More pink?
Ribbon.
Oh, yeah.
She gets pink ribbon too. There we go. A little pink ribbon. Never hurt nobody.
Mm-mm.
Right? Now, while all this is having a moment, John.
Yeah.
We're going to take our green and our burnt sienna, but mostly they're green, right?
Okay.
And you'll roll it out because I don't want it to be watery. I'm going to come here to the stem.
All right.
And I'm going to go line, 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 line.
I didn't see that one coming.
No, I know you didn't. And a little bit of greenery coming down.
Whoa.
You might have to add some pink to that, I don't know. Let's add a little bit of greenery in here. I'll go into the yellow. Make a very bright green. Right, I haven't rinsed out my brush.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that I don't have paint on my hand, and I'm going to come up the step.
Ooh. That's going to make that little highlight.
Right.
Or a little touch up. That really makes it pop forward.
It does. It pulls it out, and you really get to see it, and helps the roses really show. It's a lovely thing. Just want those stems to just sort of be loosely represented there. There we go. Nice little. Now I'm going to get into the white.
Ooh.
And the yellow.
Oh, wow. I didn't think of that. That's another tone of green.
3 tones.
Maintain multiple tones.
Maintain multiple tones. We come from France. We don't, if you don't know, that's an old joke.
Our paint does.
Our paint does, though. Actually, that's true.
Our paint comes from France.
Right. True that. Okay, so we've got that there. That looks pretty good.
It does.
That could be perfect. It could be done. But why would we be so reasonable?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my dotting tool.
All right. What's the dotting tool do?
It dots, and I'm going to get the big end. And I'm going to add some baby's breath to the bouquet.
Oh. That seems like a cool thing to do.
I liked it.
I'm not just going to watch a dot.
Dot, dot, dot.
And you're
So
making
many
multi-dots.
You got to make multi-dots. And I find that if you start with one dot side, right, and you keep dotting out, the dots get consecutively smaller, so you don't have to find a way to vary it. Though it is important to wipe off your dotting tool periodically. Look at that. And that white pop, that just adds some innocence to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so charming and special. And talks about, you know, a special day.
You could add that to your hair or whatever.
Yeah, and we're gonna.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go.
Change side of the tool, but yeah.
Just baby breath it out.
Right, well, she would have that, wouldn't she? Much baby's breath as you want to add. You can't go wrong.
Like, all the babies, come over here and breathe on me.
Right, just a little bit of those dots just pops that whole thing, doesn't it?
It does.
And let's come up here. And I think maybe I'm going to switch to the smaller side of my dotting tool because it has 2 size heads. And I'm going to get the teenier head. There we go. Because, you know, you'd have smaller breath up here.
Little dots.
Just a little bit. Right? A little bit crowning here and there. You can use the back of a brush or a toothpick or a pencil. It's really not. I love this tool. If you can find it still, I would say get it. If you're here watching this video much after it was released, check my website. I'll probably have something else.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that go. I know we've been here a minute together today. I get it. I get it. Make sure both sides are clean. Then I'm going to do one last little thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my number 4 round.
More ribbons.
Can't have too many ribbons. Maybe you can, but I just love it. So there we go. I'm happy with that. What do you think, John?
I think it's great.
Can we sign it?
I think it's signing time.
Let's hide the signature.
Where you gonna hide it?
Probably down here in white.
Oh,
see if that'll work. So signed,
yeah.
but hidden.
That's
So I like
pretty
to
cool.
do that. I don't like my signature to take over the whole painting. I feel like it's weird to do to people. Oh, wow. Well, we've created a special day, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, remember, this is just be relaxed with it. What's our word from the day? Abstract. We come back, we're going to answer some questions from earlier, whatever we didn't catch during the show. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else. Be sure to sign up for a text. Be sure to go by the website so you can see the calendar so you don't miss upcoming lessons. This will have that mini book coming out 7 to 10 days after the show. That's free to download, and that's all of this written out in instructions, and it matches the video. This is going to be timestamped too.
Yep.
So you'll find the chapters. It'll break it up so you can find your place again, go back, find a thing. That way you're not lost in these longer videos. I know these videos are long. We've been together forever today. How are you? It's been a long Saturday. Are you good?
It's been a long engagement.
Okay. So come back and we'll answer some questions.
Wedding.
Huh?
The wedding.
Yeah.
A long engagement.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, it wasn't great, but I got it.
I'm going to drag that one across the border. It's like, here we go. All right. Okay. Back to you, Cinnamon.
Hey, everybody. Oh, my goodness. We're there. We're at the end. Whoa, that was a long one.
It was a walk.
It was a walk. It was a turn. It was a tour, but you did a painting, and it's like something beautiful you would have on your wall, and you get to see how you can make it bigger. It's easy to size it up from there, and it's really easy to size it down. I see Andy L saying it's very hot in Argentina, and I miss the winter, and I would say I'd try Pennsylvania because it's really cold right now. I'm going to go over some of the questions that were asked during the live show. Again, if you're here on the replay and you're like, what is this mess? Leave a question in the comments and I get to those even years after I release a painting. I'm always on YouTube looking for questions. I get like 78,000 a month. I'm not even exaggerating. So I miss some, but I get a lot of them. It's worth asking. John, how did you love it?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. So there was some good questions that we didn't get in the halftime show. The first one is, can you use a heat gun to dry your painting and not get color shift? Ooh. First of all, a heat gun can actually heat your paint enough to start creating something called off-gassing. That's where your paint starts to release chemicals you do not want on your body, the first being formaldehyde. So that's why sometimes we even are cautionary on a hairdryer, even though you probably wouldn't get it there, but some hairdryers are really powerful because it's really anything over 114 degrees, I think. You can see it on the safety sheets. So the first reason I'm so adamant that people not use heat products on their paint is that off-gassing. Now, some of those paints, if you ever see Prop 65, they really don't want to be heated. I've done a bunch of research. I've been around a minute, and I can tell you that if it says Prop 65, that starts to be real if you have large quantities, you ingest it, or you heat it. And again, you can always find out specifically why there's a warning on any tube of paint, but it's really problematic. On top of that, some brands of paint have a strong color shift, and heat does activate it.
Yeah.
Not like Golden, not like any of the pro brands I use. You see like a shade color shift, even if you heat. But some of the companies don't maybe put as much research or science into their paint, and so you will see color shifts. So there's a health risk, and it's a serious health risk. I love paint pouring. Why have I been hard on the paint pouring community about torches? It's because of that. Because that not understanding the health and safety about that product could impact you. Right? And also because it doesn't actually help the technique or effect. And if you don't believe me, you can write the paint experts at Golden Artist Colors. Because, there's people there with PhDs in acrylic chemistry. So, you can, if I even make you question enough that you call them and you skip that stage, you can still get all the great sales and results. And just, if you do painting on fabric, you don't even want to be in the room with your dryer on sometimes. Like some of those products will even warn you, like, hey, exit the room. So acrylic paint isn't dangerous per se. Oil paint isn't dangerous. Watercolor paint isn't dangerous. But like anything, you eat too many carrots, you can get yourself sick.
Yeah.
So carrots are, in spite the words of my kids, not that dangerous. And Angela Rollins asked on YouTube, so abstract is about texture as well as not being photorealistic. So abstract is a pretty big topic. I'm toying with the idea of doing abstracted images for Acrylic April just to introduce you guys to this idea. And really, true abstract is you'll hear artists say it's non-objective. What they mean is like it doesn't look like nothing.
You can't tell it is an object. Like you couldn't tell that is a girl.
Right. But it should have emote a feeling. Abstract utilizes design elements like form and line and color and the way marks relate to each other on a surface. There's a big world of abstracted art, families of that, right? Schools of it, and there's an evolution. You can get all deep into it. But for the purposes of what we're doing, what we're saying is this has a realistic, photorealistic, right? A realistic element to it, but we're not going to cover all of that visually. We're going to abstract it and use color and texture and form and line to also tell the story. So you can tell it's a girl, but she's not like a girl, right? So that's one to do. Marilyn Moiser says, this is turning out great. I enjoy painting it. I'm so glad. I cannot wait to see everybody's paintings. Sandra Boyton says it's Kiss a Ginger Day. Heather sees sharing that. And she's sharing that because she knows I follow Sandra. I sometimes Sarah Boyton over on my Facebook page. Barbara Owens says, any idea where I can get 8x8 canvas panels? Michael's out of stock. Most of Amazon's have bad reviews. Try Dick Blick. Try Jerry's Artorama. Try Cheap Joe's. Texas Art Supply if you're in Canada, King's Framing and Art. Usually people will have that. There are some good ones on Amazon. I have been doing the Phoenix canvases and have not hated them.
What about gessoed panels?
Gessoed panels are great. And if you've got a friend that'll cut some gessoed panels for you in a shop, you can like do those all day. So there are options, and we are doing 8x8, and I love that we do it. We're like such a force in the art world that 8x8 is a problematic canvas size. I'm just proud of that. Nikki Kerr says, may I ask another question, please? What can you use instead of gel medium when you don't have any at the moment at home? So there's nothing in your kitchen or your house generally that would replace a gel medium. And so if you just don't have any, what you'll want to do, one of the things that I do when I want something that's transparent, I just use cheaper paint. I have student paint. I'll be like, oh, I don't really have a glaze in, right? Gel mediums usually are for extending your paint, or for making colors transparent, or for building body. And those products really, for those purposes, are kind of essential.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't like thin your paint with water. You can. So if you're trying to build body, you can't put like talcum powder in there. I mean, will acrylic paint bind talcum powder? Sure, but all kinds of crazy stuff will happen to the color of your paint and your paint over time. I don't know. It's almost an interesting experiment to see what it'll do. So if you don't have any gel medium, just kind of go around those techniques. And if it's transparency, you can use a less expensive paint or thin with water. Do I know if a resizer works with a smartphone? Should. All the apps that are about modifying images should be able to work on your smartphone. I have like 10. Karen Lawson says, it's my first live, but I've watched many lessons since I found you in December, and I love your new format. Thank you for all you're doing. Alexander Marie, what's the best paint you recommend for pigment? Golden, Sennelier, Holbein, PBO, M. Graham. There's a blog on my website about acrylic paint. I just tell you all the brands I like, and they all have great pigment. I think the most pigmented may be Golden. It's a running between Golden and Holbein, I think, for just pigment.
Right.
Pigment, all the pigment. Does the patron group meet on certain days, says Barbara C. Oh, only we were that organized. I think I'm going to put up a meeting. Actually really soon, and I put those in group. I make an event.
Yeah, It's very uncertain days.
Yeah, because I never know what I'm going to be like. Hey, John, you want to like just stream for them? I'm going to just paint my hands, or if we're going to have like a structured lesson, or you guys are getting an old life book. It's all sort of very, or you guys get an early look. So we don't have a meeting that is something I'm wanting to change. I'm wanting to create some consistency for the patrons. You guys get a lot. You just don't know when you're going to get it.
Right.
Sort of like feast or famine over there. It's like nothing, 20 things. So that's what it is. What do patrons get? They get to name the mini books. They get to see artwork early. They get to see artwork I hate. They get to see artwork I love. Sometimes they get to see me designing. Sometimes they get to do specific pictures. We're going to be drawing together. I'm working on kicking around an idea of having a patron ATC where you guys are swapping with me.
And they help make all these free videos possible.
Yeah, and I couldn't do this without the patrons. So, like, I do try to be lovely, and I am working on creating a consistent schedule. My life right now, probably through February, is a little bit, I don't know what's happening, and I've got to be a little bit flexible.
Yeah.
But I'm working towards some sort of stability. I am. How did Twix get her name, says Dean. I love Twix.
She came that way.
She did come named Twix, and we didn't change it, but the community voted her a right Twix, because we had a vote, is she a right Twix or a left Twix? She's a right Twix.
I don't know what that means. But
I don't know, like the Twix candies, remember they had that right versus the left competition?
And yeah, I don't know which.
Weird, goofy.
I don't know the personalities of them.
I can't pick up Shortcake for you because Shortcake is already a bricket of doll. Like you pick her up, she's so big. But Shortcake is why Twix is so needy right now. Shortcake is big, and she's like a circus on wheels. It's just everywhere. She's through the house,
clumsy,
and a little bit bumps into Twix, and Twix doesn't love it. Lynn's giving some very good recommendations for watercolors, and I love that you guys are sharing that. There's two terms that we use on this channel about abstract. So there's an abstract paint. That is a really good student cost. It's not student paint. It's Economy Pro is what it really is, and it's economical paint that's got a very high quality, and it's called abstract. And then there's the style of painting that's abstract. That can get a little confusing around here, and I just wanted you to know. All right, so here's the other thing. This is beautiful. We'll try later, but to me she looks sad. How could I change her face so she looks happy? Well, generally that's about the positioning of brows. If the eyes go up a little bit, if the brows are high, and if the mouth smiles a little bit, she can look happier. On abstracted faces, it's little subtle changes that'll kind of give them a feeling. And sometimes brightening the colors will do some of that. The green screen looks like it might be mushed. Well, because I can't wear a green shirt on the green screen, so that's always a scramble.
I squished her over to the side because she can. I don't want to block the picture.
All right. How do we sign up for texts? I've texted the number. All right. So if you're in North America right now, and you know how long we've been saying we're going to try to get global, and we haven't been global. This is how desperate I was for global. I actually talked to a scammer once on Facebook in hopes to find out where their texts were being supplied from. I'm not kidding. I catfished the catfisher trying to find who they were getting their text through. So that's where I'm at. But you send the word the Art Sherpa on your phone to the number 33222.
Yep.
And if we have enough of them, because we have a limited number every month, but whenever we go live, we text you and you can come.
How are you doing? Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm feeling like wealthy in my text, I text the image. My dream is, dream this dream with me, guys. Dream it with me. That I can send a global text with a picture.
Mm-hmm.
My dream. That is right now my dream of dreams, a global text. Can you imagine if no matter where you were, you could just see what I was doing today, so you could be like, yeah, that looks cool, rather than my weird description where you're like, I don't know, bright, glowy, happy, joy, want to paint it today? I don't know. Because, I have such weird descriptions. That might be something fun. All right, Abstract April sounds like fun, and it's new worlds to explore. So Abstract April honestly, it was a crazy idea I've had that has literally become the beating heart of what we do all year. I've written 2 books that you haven't gotten, but you will someday, and they're written. Um, and we'll probably do another one this year. But what it is a daily painting, because nothing helps you grow your painting better than daily. I went a little, like many of us, I went a little insane in 2021, and I decided, we're home, and where are we going to go?
Oh,
Let's do water and landscape. So those lessons were huge. But if you've ever wanted to learn how to do water and landscape, that is the program, and it's free. But this year, I do want it to be shorter and onboard some more beginners into the big, the daily painting practice, because it's so transformative.
I realized something. It was really kind of interesting. You know how, those nature videos that review the planet all have a little narrator to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2022 was it? Last year, 2021. Last year's. 2021's narrator was Bobcat Goldway.
I mean, okay, so like a friend of mine brought up this one, and I think I've really embodied it this year because I'm just so fatigued.
I'm afraid that he may come continuing into 2022.
2022, this is what you say. Nah. That's all 2022. Anybody runs up on you with some nonsense anymore, my therapist says this, you go, no. Nah. I empower you to do this. Okay, so the next class that I have on the schedule is Thursday. We're going to have a brush showdown between a fan brush and a grass comb grainer. Right, so it's a difference, like what makes a better tree, what makes a better fir, what makes a better grass. Don't miss it, because at the end of it, I will tell you how they're different, why they're different, what's better, and if you had to get one brush, what you'd get is what I hope to have from that. But maybe I won't, because I'm actually, this is part of a weird TikTok thing I've been doing where I'm like looking at different brushes to see if what I like for what reason, and I was like, ooh, I shouldn't do this alone. I should share this with all of you. So come on the journey where I discover if I like a brush better than another brush, it's a brush off.
Oh, there you go.
And then Saturday is the bird, which many of you guys are very excited about. That's on a big canvas. Again, will be shorter than this lesson. And I have if you're in the Patreon group, yes, the Day God Dandelion is happening probably soon, and I've got some Valentine's Day stuff coming up. So there's going to be some one-hooters coming up and some fun stuff. So hang in. Watercolor Wednesday. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep doing it. Can't stop. I'm just keep doing it. Watercolor Wednesday. So you can come over to the Watercolor channel if you want to do that. And other than that, guys, here's the mission. Just paint. 2022. Just paint. Don't worry about if it's your favorite painting or your least favorite painting, or if every technique is perfect, and don't worry about redoing every line. Just take the time and paint, because in that time, you're going to come back to yourself. You're going to feel like you again. And from being grounded in yourself, you can know what you need to do in any given moment. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.